Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. This program is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, who's expanding its services to offer low-cost blood screenings all year round, now offering walk-in convenience to get the blood tests you want when you want them. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, is available in Farmington at the hospital's laboratory and the Outpatient Diagnostic Center on 30th Street. Also in Aztec at San Juan Health Partners Family Medicine at 120 Llanos Street. With nearly 20 tests available, there's an option for everyone. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, a wellness service of San Juan Regional Medical Center. But now let me turn to my guest who is here with me this morning. Amanda Evans is here. She is the coordinator for CHIC, the Community Health Improvement Council, and she, of course, works with the San Juan County Partnership. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
It's wonderful to be here this morning.
Well, thank you for coming in to talk to us a little bit about CHIC and the work that CHIC is doing. It stands for the Community Health Improvement Council. And so take us through a little bit about the history of CHIC, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. All across the state, we have health councils in almost every county. And so those started in 1991 with the Maternal Child Health Act at the state level. And so what that did was create, at that time, councils on just maternal and child issues. And then in early 2000s, they changed it to encompass a much broader focus on health. And so that's when we started looking at health as really everything in the community. So when you say health, a lot of people think, am I going to the doctor? Is my medical health good? But really, a health of a community is, do we have transportation to those doctors? Do our veterans have the services they need? Do our seniors? Do we have affordable, healthy housing? All those things contribute to whether our community is a healthy place to live.
Got it. And that's why CHIC is so encompassing, I think, too, because you invite then representatives that represent those different areas in the community to serve and become part of CHIC.
We do. We have quite a good representation now, but we are looking for more. We have kind of a spokes of the wheel model where each spoke is a different aspect of health we'd like to see. And I've mentioned some: seniors, veterans,
right.
Things like that, medical. There's, probably 20 different spokes. And so we try to find representation from all of those, but not just at the organization level, but also at just community members. So if there's a veteran that can speak to issues in the community, we'd love to have them attend, or someone with maybe mental health issues, or someone with senior representation. So we already have like Bloomfield Senior Center that comes, but we'd love to have just a senior that wants to attend and make a difference in the community.
And again, in order to do that, they just need to reach out to you and talk about what they represent or what they could bring to the CHIC table, if you will.
Sure. We have monthly meetings. We meet the third Thursday of each month at the Downtown Center, which is where the chamber is, and San Juan Safe Communities. I call it the old library.
Right. Or the old bank, if you're really old.
Yeah, that was before me.
Yeah,
but, and so we meet upstairs in their conference room at 3 p.m. So people can just show up for meetings. If they want to get on the email list so they know what's happening at the meeting, they can call me. My number is 566-5877, and I can get them some more information about it. So you can also go on our partnership website, which is sjcpartnership.org, and that has a whole page on the Health Council that people can kind of look at with my contact information, email for me, that kind of things.
Good to know. But you're always looking for new members, as you were saying, and,
yes.
And the CHIC can be expanded. And as you mentioned, it's not just about medical health or mental health or things like that. When we're talking about healthy communities, it is a lot more than just those two things.
Right. We're talking about education. We're talking about housing. That's a big issue here because we have such kind of high rental rates and things like
right.
that. So that's been some conversations we've had in the past. We've brought in speakers to speak on that, to kind of educate our members and how they can kind of work on some of the issues. So we do a lot of networking networking there where we bring organizations together, and just a lot of trying to work for the better good of the community.
Right. And that's what you are doing. And you were telling me before we came on the air this morning that you are working on some strategic planning these days for CHIC.
Yes. So we've taken on quite a few different projects over the years. And so the last couple of years we've been working on food issues, food access, and a couple other programs. And so now we brought in an outside facilitator, Nancy Shepard, who used to work here at the college for many years. And she's worked with a lot of other community groups. So kind of brought in her expertise to meet with us as a council and really look at steps for the next 3 years on where we want to go, what we want to do, how we want to get there, and really have a focused plan to kind of who we need to bring to the table and things like that.
Very good. And so with that, you're talking about this. Any timeline, I guess, to maybe get a plan or get this plan kind of finalized or just getting it released?
Well, we've started, it's actually kind of taken longer than I thought because we started back in January and I was thinking, a meeting or two. But we've really taken our time on this. So we're still going to be working on, we started with goals, and then this last meeting in February, we worked on objectives, and now we're looking at really narrowing it down into action steps. So at the March meeting, people can still come and contribute to the process, and we're hoping to have something kind of finalized. My goal is by June, having something that we can really get out there and let people look at and see what we're going to be focused on. Got you.
And these action steps, again, I think it's great to have an entity like CHIC around, but if you don't have maybe some action steps, it's hard for the public to really see what's the purpose, what's the reason to get together every month if you're not going to see maybe some outcomes.
Right. And what we found when we started this process, we did kind of a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, and stuff.
Right.
And we found out we're a lot better at sharing our stuff internally and what we do. But that's one of the reasons we really want to get the public more involved, is because we really want them to know what we're doing as well. Someone actually emailed me this week and said, so what is this all about? And so I kind of gave them... and when I started typing it all up, some of the projects we worked over the years, we did probably 5 or so years ago, we did a big project with dentists in the area, and with pediatricians, where we handed out sippy cups and education packets to try to get them to talk to their patients and their parents about starting kids on sippy cups sooner, and getting them off the bottle and not putting Coke and tea and things that kids shouldn't have in the bottles and stuff. And so a lot of people don't even know we did that, because we didn't really, I think we're bad about tooting our own horn sometimes. Right. We're so focused, because so many of the members really care about the community and just want to get the work done, that we don't always get the word out about what we do.
Right. And again, I think we help in some of those ways, because at KSJE, we've worked with CHIC over the years to have a monthly appearance, not this one, but another one actually, next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, everyone. But every first Tuesday, we have someone from CHIC, from the council, come in and talk a little bit about their contributions and their position, and that spokes on the wheel position on the Community Health Improvement Council.
Right. We started that. We always kind of debate when it started, but I think it's been about 6 years.
Right.
We started what we call the Positive Wellness Campaign. And so what that is how it started was somebody in the group said, we have all these resources. We have all this community stuff, and most of the community doesn't even know about some of this things that are going on. And we really want to promote them in a positive way. So unfortunately, a lot of times the media picks up on all the bad stuff. And
You're kidding. I'm shocked to hear you say that.
I know.
The media does negative news? What are you talking about?
I know.
They do that.
Yeah.
We're all guilty. I know.
They tend to pick up on the things, that are bad with our community, and or what's happening bad in a program, or, things like that. And so we really wanted to spotlight the good that the community is doing, because we have a ton of programs. And what we figured out is even some of our members didn't know what other groups were doing. So as you said, we do a monthly spot here on KSJE. We also do send out letters to organizations that do like newsletters. We've had a spot in the Daily Times at times when they've published things for us. We had like a monthly spot there that we did. So we're just trying to get the word out the best we can about some of these programs that some of them work with. Some of us sit on the council. Some of them sit on the council, and some are just come in and out and things like that. But we really want the community to know about the good they're doing.
Right. And I know that I believe the San Juan Safe Communities works with you too
Yes.
to get the word out about some of these things as well. Is that true?
Yes. Actually, Greg Allen has kind of taken over that project. And it's been great. He is so organized. He keeps people on task.
I strive to be more like Greg Allen. Yeah.
He does really good with making sure people get their stuff and be where they're supposed to be as much as possible. And so he's really taken on that project as the San Juan Safe Communities representative to the CHIC. And so he's kind of been doing that and finds people to speak and does all of that. And so that's a great partner we have there. And he actually, that's where their offices are. So he lets us use their conference room down at the downtown center.
Oh, terrific. Very good. And I would think, too, that if there are other folks that are watching us this morning or listening to us this morning on the radio, maybe with a civic group, a Rotarian group, or Kiwanis group, and needs a speaker, that a member of CHIC
yes.
or yourself could
Yep.
be a great speaker for their organization 1 month or 1 week.
I would love to come speak to anyone who will have me. Like I said, we're really a big part of our strategic plan is going to be recruitment for the next year. So we really, I know funding is hard because that means everyone's job is more for less money, and so it's hard sometimes to get to those community meetings. But I would love to come to speak to any organization. We have some other people that would also be willing, I'm sure. So we would love to do that.
Good to know. Very good. My guest this morning, Amanda Evans, is here. She is the coordinator of CHIC, the Community Health Improvement Council, and it is run under the umbrella of the San Juan County Partnership, which, of course, does a lot of great things in our community. You mentioned the Positive Wellness Campaign, and I would like to pick up on that for just a moment because I think it's fascinating that you all also kind of collect data from the community and kind of put that back out to the community in positive ways about the number of maybe teenagers who aren't on using drugs or alcohol, or the number of teenagers who aren't dropping out of school, or those types of twists on the traditional maybe negative news story, but making it into a more positive situation that reflects back on San Juan County.
Right, and the partnership has actually been doing that for many years through different campaigns throughout the county, especially focused on teenage drinking and teenage drug use. And that's actually where the CHIC's idea kind of came from, is we were looking at that kind of campaign and figuring out how we could do it with organizations. And so that's kind of, it's hard to put an organization's information up on a billboard like the partnership does with some of their statistics and things like that. But having a monthly spot on your show, having newsletter articles that can go out. Greg from San Juan Safe Communities also puts it up on their website, so you can go to, I don't know his website off the top of my head, but if you... sjcsc.org. Yeah.
But we'll look that up during the break, everyone, and make sure that's right. But just search for it,
Yes.
San Juan Safe Communities, Farmington, and I bet you'll find it.
And they post all of our monthly articles on that. He has a calendar of events, so the CHIC meetings are listed on that. He's done as much as he can to really promote what we're doing.
Right, which is great. Well, it's a great community effort, and again, getting those numbers out, because again, a lot of us sometimes think wrongly that every teenager is on drugs and alcohol, and every teenager is skipping school, and every teenager is doing these horrible things. And when you actually see the actual numbers, I think many should be pleasantly surprised, because it's not the majority in many of these cases. Is actually a small minority of kids who are doing some of these things, but it makes it into the news.
Well, and like I said, the media has a tendency to pick up the bad stuff.
I know.
But I mean, that's people are interested in that as well. But we always say we don't want to neglect the kids that are doing something wrong.
True.
We have prevention.
Even one is too many, so
yes.
Sure, I understand.
So we always want to try to do something to affect those numbers as well. But yes, a lot of times, and I wish I had some good statistics. I didn't think to bring any of those this morning, but I know a lot of times it's like 90% of the kids are doing the right thing.
Right, I've seen that. That's right.
Yeah. And so, and people, there is a mentality that, all of our youth are doing, not what they're supposed to and everything. And a lot of them, that's just what the thought is. It's not what's actually going on in the community. We have some really great kids. The partnership works with the Mayor's Teen Advisory Council, with the You Matter kids. We do a lot with some of those programs to try to make a difference on substance abuse issues in the community. And so there's some kids doing some really amazing things in the community, and it's always great to highlight them and show that we have some really good kids, and our next generation isn't as bad maybe as we think.
That's right. That's very true. And again, these stats come from data that you all collect from these groups, from these teenagers that we're talking about, right? It's not statewide data that's kind of boiled down for Farmington and San Juan County. It's actual local numbers that
Yes.
you survey, I think.
Well, and even the statewide data, we use the YRS, which is the Youth Risk and Resiliency Survey at times. That is still from local numbers. So
Right.
the state comes in and does a random sampling of students in the high schools and middle schools, and then they give that back to us. So
Okay.
some of the stats you'll see are from surveys that we've done in the schools, the partnership itself, but then some are from if you see the YRS listed on something, that is data from here that's the state's collected and given back to us.
Got it. But still local. So
Yes.
still worth paying attention to.
Oh, yes.
Very good. Amanda Evans is my guest this morning. She's the coordinator of CHIC, the Community Health Improvement Council. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, more with my guest here in just a moment on KSJE. The time is 8:27.
Uber wants to do everything in transportation. Lyft just wants to drive you around. Which business model is best? From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech, demystifying the digital economy. I'm Molly Wood.
Marketplace Tech Report is supported by ThoughtWorks, presenting GoCD, a modern CI/CD tool that provides control of and visibility into software deployments. Support for cloud environments like Kubernetes, Docker, AWS, Azure, and more. GoCD.org. And by T. Rowe Price, offering a strategic investing approach that examines opportunities firsthand. Since 1937, T. Rowe Price, invest with confidence.
Ride-sharing platforms Lyft and Uber are speeding toward initial public offerings this year. Both companies offer rides and increasingly bike and scooter rentals, but there are actually some pretty big differences between the two. Uber has all kinds of other spin-offs like Uber Eats, a freight business, international expansion. CEO Dara Khosrowshahi has described it as the Amazon of transportation. And Lyft is still really focused on rides. Jack Stewart is our new transportation reporter at Marketplace. He visited Uber this week, and he said one thing that stuck out to him is that Uber knows a lot about us.
That data word, I think, is the key. That's what I came away with. They weren't explicit about this, but I was sat there kind of thinking, wow, they really know a lot about me, about us, and how I travel around and what I do and when I do it and how much I'm prepared to pay to get from one place to another. It even came out a couple of years ago that they know that people are willing to pay more. They're willing to pay a higher surge price when the batteries on their phones are getting lower. And I think it's this sort of data, this backbone that we hear about so much with technology companies that's going to end up being the really valuable part of their business and might be what appeals to investors.
But then not only the data question, but just Uber's sort of struggles with cities and its overall sort of trust level would seem to be something like a hill that this company still needs to climb, right?
Yeah, they have some reputation management, should we call it, still to do. I think they're getting there. They've had this new CEO, Dara Khosrowshahi, in place for, like a year and a half now, and he's had this kind of gentler approach, and that change in tone at the top has kind of worked its way all the way down through the organization. And you can see that a little bit where they've started to put in bike sharing schemes. They now own the company Jump. And in order to get licenses to operate in cities, they've had to agree to share some of that data about how those things are actually used with the cities.
One other thing we should talk about is how Uber appears to lose close to $1 billion a quarter. And I wonder how much that is going to matter.
Yeah, I wonder too. I mean, I guess it all comes down to investors believing in a longer term plan. And that loops us back around to this idea of data. If Uber convinces people that, all right, they don't make money now, but that's because they're investing. Amazon hasn't really ever made very much profit. Maybe investors will buy into the idea that longer term, this is the thing to do. That will be what investors, I imagine, will be looking at, and that's what we'll have to wait to see.
Jack Stewart is our new transportation reporter here at Marketplace. Now, yes, Uber loses staggering amounts of money every quarter, but so does Lyft. Its more pared down and focused operations still reportedly lost over $370 million in the first half of last year. I'm Molly Wood, and that's Marketplace Tech. This is APM.
Hello again. There's nothing like a live concert to bring out the best in musicians, largely because they know there's an audience a few feet away taking in every note and expressing their approval. We'll hear from Goodman, Ellington, Kenton, and several others as they perform on stage. Tune in, go swinging down the lane. Here's David Miller.
Saturdays at 7 on KSJE Farmington.
Make each day a learning experience with the Academic Minute and join us as we discover cutting-edge research from colleges and universities around the world. Tune in to broaden your understanding of the past and be the first to learn how today's innovations will transform our tomorrow. From the latest breakthrough in green technology to the discovery of humanity's oldest tools, you'll find it all on the Academic Minute.
Listen every weekday afternoon during the KSJE Evening News at 5:30.
Hi, I'm Brett Barry, the host of Soundbeat. Every episode features a recording from Belfer Audio Archive, one of the largest sound archives in the country. We add in a related storyline, whether it be about the performers, the songs, or something else entirely. From vaudeville to vinyl, you'll hear it all on Soundbeat. Soundbeat is produced at the Belfer Audio Archive, Syracuse University Libraries.
KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, your community hospital with a rich heritage that dates back to before New Mexico was a state. We've been improving the health of the Four Corners since 1910. As a nonprofit hospital, San Juan Regional Medical Center is a values-driven organization. We strive to deliver on our mission to personalize health care and create vitality and enthusiasm in healing. We are here for you when you need us, offering a comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and emergency care services. I'm Scott Michlin. My guest on the radio this morning, Amanda Evans, is here. She is the coordinator of CHIC, the Community Health Improvement Council. And once again, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And we were talking a little bit about some of the things that you're doing with the Community Health Improvement Council, the strategic planning, and getting more members and more people to contribute to CHIC. And I want to ask you a little bit more about some of your current projects and things that you're working on this spring.
Sure. So the last couple of years, we've been kind of focused on a couple different areas. One great project that one of our members started, Jessica Pilati from the Bloomfield Senior Center, started working on a project called Helmets for the Homeless. And so what it is we get, we've had bikes donated and helmets and different things like that then can be donated to the homeless in the community and used to help them travel around the community safely and more efficiently. And so Total Behavioral Health has been a partner with that. And we're literally looking to, it's kind of the wrong time of year right now for people to be thinking about being out on bicycles, but we're hoping to kind of get it revived this summer and look for more donations, maybe people who might know how to repair bikes, because sometimes we've had bikes donated that weren't in kind of working order and that we couldn't pass on. So we've looked.
But wouldn't take too much work maybe to get them usable,
not completely gone, but just
sure.
Not quite where they need to be. So, people, that's one of the things we've talked about with the strategic planning is really looking for, we all would like more funding, but we have some great community resources out there that maybe you can't attend a meeting every month, but you might want to do a class for bicycle safety for a group of the homeless or just community members. You might know how to repair bikes, so you want to come in and help us do that. You want to donate some items, things like that. So anything out there, people have talents that we don't know about, and so maybe they want to just volunteer some of their time.
And it could really be paid forward, I guess, by doing it from projects like you're talking about.
Right, and it's sometimes the small things. We've taken on big projects in the past, and we've taken on small things that just need kind of a temporary push to maybe get it going. And so we're always looking for ideas like that we can work on as well. So if somebody knows of something going on in the community, we have presentations. Right now we're doing the strategic planning at the meetings, but most meetings we have, a 20 to 30 minute presentation so people can come and talk about something that's going on in the community and get on the agenda and kind of get feedback on maybe how we could help or how we could get another group involved.
Very true. Very interesting. And I know you also work on we've been talking a lot about community gardens and food security and things like that. That's another component of CHIC as well, is it not?
Right, and that's something we've worked on for probably the past 3 years. And so we're looking at whether we'll move it forward with the strategic plan or whether that's something that we can kind of turn over to some of the other groups that's gotten more funding. But last year we actually went into grocery stores and did surveys. A few years ago, maybe 3 or 4, we had some people who felt like there was some bias in food pricing at the different stores. Because if you've been in one Walmart versus the other, maybe ground hamburger meat is different prices. Or eggs or something are different prices.
Right. You'd think they'd be the same.
Right.
With the same store.
Right. And so, we have 2 Safeways, so sometimes their pricing can be slightly different. And so there was some concern over whether that was due to location in the county, if there was some kind of bias to different members from the community, whatever. And so we wanted to really find out if there was any truth to that. And so we actually surveyed not every grocery store in the county, but we did most of the larger ones. We had students and members from the CHIC go into the grocery stores and actually have a price list where they wrote down prices on certain items. Especially we were trying to stick with things that are covered under WIC or things like
staple
that.
Items maybe that you would buy for your family. Sure. Got it.
Cheese, eggs, milk, those kind of things. And so we were trying to see, and what we did was we actually partnered with Highlands social work students. They have a graduate level class where they go in and do statistics and analyze data. So we turned it over to them and one of their professors, and they analyzed it, and what we found out was there was no statistically significant difference. So you might have 20 cents here or 20 cents on this item, but there's really, overall, if you look at prices in general, there was nothing really different.
Well, that's good. It kind of evened out, I guess.
Yes,
maybe if something was cheaper in one store, it might have been a little more expensive somewhere else and
Right.
evened out. Interesting.
And so what we took from that is pricing might not be an issue, but what we might want to do is work with the community on how do you go to these different stores and utilize the sales, utilize different budgeting methods to really get healthy food at cost. And so with that, we brought in New Mexico Extension Office. They have a couple different people that work with like the growers market and with cooking classes and things like that, and brought them in to really educate us on the members of the CHIC on what they do and how they do it, and maybe how we can help. So we've been looking at possibly doing a social media campaign, maybe creating a Facebook group where we could talk with people, have maybe contest on who has the best recipe for a locally grown food or something like that. And so and then we've been really great because we have healthy kids, healthy communities, like I said, NMSU Extension Office that come to meetings for CHIC, and they've been able to work with other groups outside of CHIC and bring in resources for, there's a new program, Local Foods, Local Places, I think.
Right.
And so they've gotten some funding to do some great things. And so we're really looking at how we can partner with all of those, because we definitely don't want to be duplicating anything. We want to utilize our resources to the best we can, but if there's some way we can help them out. And so that's part of the strategic planning process, is looking at, is that something we want to continue with, or do they even really need our help at this point? So it's kind of just looking at where we can fit best with the resources that we have.
Sure, right. And I do know next week when we do our monthly CHIC interview here on KSJE, we'll be talking about kind of the food component of CHIC and what the plans are maybe for this upcoming growing season and things along that line. So it's kind of some exciting stuff that's happening in that area, because as you mentioned, there's been some funding that's been awarded, and so because we have a lot of great ideas, but sometimes it does take money to implement them, and so this seems to be we're putting our money, the government or somebody's putting their money where our mouths are,
Yes.
literally, for this type of topic.
And what's great about it is not just, like I said, resources in the community are also great because we've gotten, again, some great funding that will help. They've been able to hire some people to do some great projects and start looking at doing a food hub downtown. They've looked at, and we had someone actually I don't want to say who because I can't remember.
Right.
But
okay.
patients will be able to tell you.
Okay, next week.
Yes.
Stay tuned, everybody. That's what we say, right? Tune in again.
I know. It always escapes me right when I need the information. But we had someone donate space for a community garden last year. So
That's
I know
right.
Patients has been working on that. And so all these things are really great because, like I said, that's part of what the Health Council is looking at. A lot of times we don't think about whether our food makes us healthy or not. And something we should be. Do people in the community have access to healthy foods? Can they get the transportation to get them? Because if you really think about our county, we have a few concentrated areas with grocery stores, especially here in Farmington. We have 4, 5, 6 grocery stores where people can access food. But then even if you go to kind of the south side of Farmington, there's not really a grocery store really close to some of the places down there.
Right.
So they have to travel a ways to get healthier options. We have the growers market, but it's not all year round. But it's a great resource for the community. So we're just looking, and then if you look, even going out west, we have, the West Walmart here, but then there's not a lot until you get to Shiprock. So,
True.
And people live in between there. So they're driving quite a ways to get healthy options. And so any way we can make the community healthier by making it easier for people to get to those options.
Right. There's a term I think they use called food deserts,
Yes.
isn't it? And that's
Yes.
the whole idea is that maybe a lot of folks, their closest source of food is a convenience store.
Yes.
And those don't always have, nothing against convenience stores,
No.
but they don't always have the healthiest options.
Right.
And if you're trying to get healthy food for your family, you've got to drive that extra, who knows, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, who knows?
Yep. Yeah, or find a way, we have, what's wonderful is we do have the Red Apple Transit, so you can sometimes utilize that to get to where you need to go to, but again, it doesn't run all hours of the day and night.
True.
Like some big cities have transportation that does, so convenience stores have their place, but there's not a lot of produce in them or things there's a lot of processed foods and things like that, so there's not as much access unless you have a reliable way to get there.
Right. And that's what you're talking about and
Right.
what the focus is in some parts of CHIC, I suppose,
Yes.
to try to find those problems and figure out ways maybe to resolve them.
Right, and it's really, and that's one of the great things about CHIC is sometimes we're not necessarily the place that's going to solve the problems, but we're going to bring the people to the table that will. And we try to make it to where, like I said, we have so many different groups coming that, some months it's not, when someone does a presentation, it's not necessarily that we can solve all their problems when they tell us, maybe they need this or that. But then someone else, we've had months where somebody would say, hey, I know an organization that does that. Maybe you guys can partner, and they wouldn't even know that connection. And so that's one of the things I love about CHIC is it's always a surprise where you'll find that networking piece where people can say, well, I don't have this, but I know someone who does.
Right. And that's kind of what CHIC is all about, too,
Yes.
is to bring all these folks to the table.
Yes.
Even if they can't be at every meeting every month,
Right.
you still have kind of that continuity of being able to talk about what's needed,
Right.
what you have identified as a need in the community, and maybe somebody knows somebody who knows somebody that can maybe help address that need.
Right. And it can be as simple as, right now we're looking for help printing some educational materials so we can get the word out about CHIC, and we don't have the funding to do that. So, maybe someone has, maybe there's a graphic designer who's going to school and needs some work to do for their portfolio that they're willing to do for free and willing to help us with some brochures and things. Or maybe there's a printer listening out there that's willing to print us 500 copies of something as a donation. So it doesn't always have to be money that people are helping with. It can be a lot of other things as well.
Right. And of course, you mentioned, too, with the bicycle program and project,
Right.
that maybe someone can just tinker with a bike and get it back in working order, and that can be a big benefit to
Right.
CHIC and to this program of helping our homeless population.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what you're working on.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like I said, we're hoping to revive that this summer and kind of get it going again and see how it fits in with our strategic plan, and if it's something that we want to do as a CHIC, as a health council, or if it's something that'll be kind of a side project for other members of our group, or how we want it all to fit together. And that's a great. This is a great time for people to attend the meeting. Like I said, March 21st is going to be our next meeting, and come and kind of help us put together what we should be doing for the next 3 years.
Okay, very good. Amanda, thanks for coming in. Before I let you go, would you repeat how folks can get in touch with you, or
Sure.
of course, we have the San Juan County Partnership website.
Yes.
Is one way, and then your phone number again?
566-5877.
Okay, and that will get right to you.
Yes, that's my direct number. So they can leave a message a lot of times I'm out in the community. So leave a message and I'll get back with you. Or my email is on the website. So sjcpartnership.org is our partnership website. If you go to the CHIC page that kind of gives some details about the CHIC, you'll find my email, and you can contact me that way as well.
Okay, very good. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's always great to visit with you. That's Amanda Evans. She's the coordinator of CHIC, the Community Health Improvement Council, part of the San Juan County Partnership, my guest here on KSJE. Back with more in just a moment, everybody. The time right now is 8:48. Thursday morning here on KSJE. It's time for our Save a Buck Thursday segment. That's when we check on the economy. And Darrin Church is joining us via the telephone this morning from his office at Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation. Darrin, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thanks for being with us this morning. And how's the week looking so far?
Well, so far we've had a little extra geopolitical news.
Yes, right.
Going on. So that certainly has a bit of an impact on the markets, albeit not too much. I'm looking, the market looks like it's opening basically flat. We're not seeing a lot of increase. We didn't see a lot of movement yesterday in the markets either. We did get some numbers today on GDP.
Right.
Quarter GDP, the estimate was around 2.2%. It's actually revised upward to a 2.6% GDP growth in the fourth quarter, which is better than we expected. Really, mostly business spending, infrastructure spending for business, buying equipment, software, research, just spending some of that cash that they have on hand. But that certainly helped the GDP. For the full year, it looks like 2018 GDP came in at 3.1%. So that's a little higher than most of the estimates. But for the full year at 3.1%, that's nice, steady growth. We would take that, year after year if we could have that.
Right.
Not have booms and busts, but nice solid growth for 2018. We'll see where we go for 2019. The thought is that some of the severe weather, and we've kind of had a little bit of that here.
Yes, we have.
Some of the severe weather in the country might have an impact, and then the government shutdown may have an impact, probably will have an impact on first quarter GDP when we start to get those numbers later in the year. But overall, we still think the economy is growing, albeit not quite as rapidly as it did the first 2 or 3 quarters of last year. We still see growth in the market. But you and I talked before we came on the air. Year over year, the markets are up. They didn't set records year over year. Year to date, the markets are pretty strong, but we had quite a downturn in the fourth quarter of 2018. But year over year, the Dow's up almost 4%, S&P's up 2.9%, and the NASDAQ, which is pretty tech-heavy, that's up 3.73% year over year. So we are still seeing growth in the markets, and we do anticipate that, but we certainly don't anticipate huge numbers and double-digit numbers in the equity growth.
Right. Okay, very good. And then any news on oil and gas prices this week?
I can look while we're talking, Scott.
Okay.
It looks like I think oil. We're sitting at 56.92 right now on West Texas Intermediate, and natural gas 284. So it's still just kind of plugging away. I think locally we always look at those prices. We also look at what's going on with the power plant, and I'm sure you've touched on. But I know you did on the Facebook page at least share the news that we're looking at maybe finding a buyer for.
That's right, the city of Farmington. That's right.
Yeah.
And
so kudos to them for trying to do this, and we'll see where it goes. But
Indeed, that's true. And of course, but it's, again, when we talk about severe weather, I'm surprised that the price of natural gas is still kind of hovering where it's been hovering. It doesn't seem to move all that much with the ins and outs of weather forecasting.
Yeah, and I think that's just still a supply and demand.
Right.
And we're really good at getting it out of the ground right now. So it's there's still quite a bit of supply. But yeah, you're right with the severe, all the cold we had in the Midwest and in the Northeast. My goodness, you'd think that those prices would have gone up, but it's still hovering, in that high 2s, low 3s range. It seems like it's been there for a long time.
Right. Interesting. Okay. Well, Darrin, always appreciate your expertise. Thanks for joining us this week.
All right. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Thank you very much. That's Darrin Church, the president of Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, my guest here on KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.